Hey everyone, this is Riddle Hakaraja Raven, and yeah, we have our first episode for The Last of Us Season Number 1, titled When You're Lost in the Darkness. And the first episode is out, and I did watch it, and as someone who has played the games, I kind of know where the story is heading. However, I'm not like a big, huge fan of the game series. So if I ended up missing certain Easter eggs or something pertaining to the lore, I apologize. And if there were Easter eggs that you ended up noticing, feel free to share them down in the comment section below. So the first episode opens up with this talk show, and it's talking about how even though viruses do end up causing a lot of illnesses for people around the world, many of them fatal, a huge risk that or a threat that people don't realize happen to be fungus. And then we have this doctor over here, and he talks about how, you know what, with the world warming up, global warming and everything, fungus or fungi. How do you pronounce that? What's happening to my mind right now? Fungi. Yeah, fungi. So they're like, maybe some of them might end up evolving, right? And it happens in animals, it happens in insects, so why not humans? So that's exactly what's going to happen in this show. Now, in the games, there's the threat are spores. However, in the show, they ended up going the fungus route or the fungi route, which is an interesting take in a sense. Makes them feel more zombie-like in a way, the way they bite and everything. So then we cut to 2003, and yeah, we get to see Joel living with his young daughter Sarah. And for those of you who have played the games, you know what's going to happen to Sarah. As far as the relationship is concerned, it's a very sweet little relationship. Like, Sarah is looking out for her dad, and it's her dad's birthday. I think he's like turning 37 now. And she's like, hey, I'm making pancakes and everything. And he's like, I don't like pancakes. And she's like, well, they're for my benefit, okay? So she needs to go to school as well. And as these two are having breakfast, this is where Tommy walks in. Tommy is Joel's brother. And yeah, even though it's Joel's birthday, they need to earn. So he's like, if Tommy comes in with a new job, and yeah, but that job is going to lead to Joel coming back home late at night. And Sarah is like, really, on your birthday? And he's like, hey kiddo, I have to work anyway. I promise I'll bring home a cake. And I'm like, yeah, sure you are. While the breakfast scene is happening, we also get to hear on the radio that something's happening in Jakarta. And you know that the world is basically coming to an end for these people. So before heading out to school, Sarah runs into her dad's room, and she takes out his wristwatch. And yeah, that wristwatch is broken and she wants to fix it. And of course, the money that she ends up getting is from her dad. We also get this shot of a knife, and there are like little horses etched onto the knife. With Sarah getting ready to go to school, they end up talking a bit with their neighbors. I think the Adlers or something, and they want Sarah to come over, spend time with them, and yada yada yada. And you can tell that Sarah and Joel aren't into it, but they have to be respectful. Sarah is having her dad's watch fixed, and as the guy is fixing the watch, this is where the guy's, I guess, maybe daughter, wife, I don't know. I think it's his wife, right? She walks in, and she's like, hey, we need to close, something's happening. And she's like, Sarah, dear, you need to go home. And I'm like, yeah, girl, you need to get home. With Sarah spending time at the Atkins, yeah, the neighbor's family is like the Atkins family. As she's going through these old DVDs, we get this creepy little scene that shows that, yup, the old woman in the wheelchair, she is infected, and she like moves and everything. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to get creepy real quick. Joel is able to get home, thankfully, but he comes home late. I think it comes around like 10 or 11. And yeah, he forgot the cake. But of course, Sarah, like, of course, she forgives him. And she's like, well, I'm going to give you your gift. And she gives him back the fixed watch. And then she also gives him the DVD. And he's excited to watch the DVD. And she's like, well, we still have time. Let's play it. And he plays the DVD. And he's like, Sarah, don't go to sleep. And Sarah's like, yeah, sure. And of course, she goes to sleep. And while Sarah is asleep, this is where Joel gets a call from his brother Tommy, and he's in jail because he got into a fight at a bar, and he needs Joel to bail him out because it's Friday, and if he doesn't bail him out, he'll have to spend the weekend in prison, and he can't do that. And Joel is like, okay. So Joel picks up Sarah, he places Sarah in her bed, and he goes away, and Sarah is all alone at 11, and I'm like, oh no, the world's coming to an end, and Joel's not home. Sarah wakes up, she tries to find her dad, but her dad's not home, and there's a lot, and she hears like planes and police cars and everything outside, and these little like flash bombs and whatnot, and she turns on the TV, and the TV is like, yep, please stay indoors, and of course she doesn't stay indoors because the next door neighbor's dog, Mercy, he ended up running to Sarah for help, and yeah, because he's scared about what's happening inside the Atkins house. But Sarah doesn't realize that. She's like, well, I need to get you back home. So let's go, let's get you back home. And I'm like, Sarah, no. And then she tries to take Mercy back into the Atkins house, and yeah, the dog isn't going to budge. Of course not, because the dog's like, there are like fungus-infected zombies in there, but Sarah doesn't know that, and Sarah goes in. She walks into the kitchen, she sees Mr. Adler being bitten and all bloody, and then she notices the old grandma biting into Mrs. Adler, and I'm like, Sarah, run. And also the actress playing Sarah, she's doing a really good job in the role. As Sarah is running away, thankfully, Joel and Tommy are able to make it to her in time, and the zombie grandma is running towards Sarah, and yeah, Joel just hits her in the face with a wrench, and he's like, Sarah, we need to go, we need to leave, get in the car, and other neighbors start coming out, and he also yells at them to stay indoors, and the plan is that, you know what, we have to get out of here, we have to get out of Dodge, need to get as far away from here as possible, and even Sarah is like, but what if everyone is infected? What if there's no safe place for us to go to? And as they are driving away, they also see a family with a baby on the side of the road asking for help, and Joel is like, no, we can't stop. Somebody else will come along. And I'm like, ooh, karma, I guess. They head into the city, and it's like chaos everywhere. And yeah, then one of these planes, it crashes, and I think in the game it was a car crash, but in the show they ended up giving that entire scene to a plane crash, which, you know what, budget come true. So the plane crashes and the truck topples over. Everyone's injured. Sarah's ankle is broken. She can't run or anything. And Joel, of course, has to pick up he has to carry his daughter. Of course he has to. They also get separated from Tommy, and Tommy's like, hey, Joel, just get Sarah out of here, and I'll meet you at the river. Just go. So as Joel is carrying his daughter and he's running away, he encounters an infected, and the infected are running, and I'm like, you know what? I would have allowed myself to be infected. Like, zombies, slow walking zombies, I think I can handle them, but fast running zombies, like, no, just kill me. Just kill me right there. As Joel is running away from the infected zombie, the zombie gets shot by one of the soldiers, and yeah, Joel is like, hey, we aren't infected, please help us, and you know where this is going, because basically this happens in every zombie movie whenever a soldier is involved, because soldiers have to follow orders, they just have to, and yeah, the soldier is like, I'm so sorry, I have to kill you both. But before the soldier can kill Joel and Sarah, Tommy comes in with a gun. He kills the soldier, but no, the soldier was able to press the trigger, and the bullet kind of grazes Joel, but it ended up hitting Sarah. And yeah, we have this entire scene recreated from the games where Sarah gets shot and she dies in Joel's arms. And again, the actress playing Sarah, amazing work. And then we cut to 2023, which is like what, 20 years after the Sarah incident. And Joel is like what, in his 50s now. And we get to see this kid making his, oh, sorry. And we get to see this kid making his way all the way to Boston because, yeah, there's a place that's basically a sanctuary. You can see the wall here, right? And the kid just walks towards what's it called? A Fedra outpost. They test the kid, and it turns out that the kid is indeed infected, and yeah, he has to be put down. That poor child, he has to be killed, and his body has to be burned. When it comes to burning duty, we get to see this woman, and she is burning bodies, but when it comes to her, when it's time for her to burn the kid's body, she's like, Joel, I can't do this. I can't do this. But Joel is able to do it because I guess it just goes to show that how time has hardened him. And we get this scene where 3 people are being executed. They are being hanged to death in front of the public because they ended up like exiting the quarantine zone or entering the quarantine zone unauthorized and whatnot. So yeah, Fedra deals out public executions. Then we have the scene between Joel and one of the guards he seems to be working with, and he is like paying the guard in drugs, actual drugs that they're getting from, I don't know, somewhere I forgot the name of the place, but yeah, because that place is making bullets and drugs. And yeah, these soldiers need drugs because they have been killing a lot of people, and it's very difficult for them to go to sleep. And while these two are talking, this is where we get to find out that Joel actually has a plan to procure a truck of some kind because he needs to go and find Tommy. And the soldier is like, well, you can do whatever you want, just stay off the streets tonight, because the firefighters, the Fireflies, my bad, not the firefighters, the Fireflies, which is a rebellion group, they have been causing a lot of trouble. So we are increasing the military patrol. So stay out of the streets tonight, okay? Then we get a scene between Robert and Tess, played by Anna Troff. I think you pronounce her name as Troff, right? I enjoyed her in The Mindhunter. I loved her. I also loved her in The Newsreader. She's a great actress. So she's playing Tess. And yeah, it turns out that she wanted a battery from Robert, but Robert ended up basically like scamming them. And she got beat up by these 2 dudes. And this one is like very, very sassy. Just look at the expression on his face. And Robert is like, hey, Tess, I can't just let you go, right? If I let you go, your man will come after me for revenge, right? And she's like, it doesn't matter, Robert. He won't. I won't tell him that you were involved in all of this. Hey, you stole our battery, even though we paid you for it. It happens. So let bygones be bygones. Just let me go. And as Tess is ready to leave, this is where one of the Fireflies ends up detonating a bomb. And yeah, people get injured, the wall comes down, but Tess is able to leave. However, as she's walking and she's trying to make her way back home, there's this fight happening between the soldiers, the Fedra soldiers, and the Fireflies, and she gets caught in between because they think that she's a Firefly, and she's sent to prison. Now, around 47 minutes into the episode, we get our first shot of Ellie, and she's being held captive with Jane and everything. And this woman comes in because she wants to test her, and she's like, okay, count to 10 slowly, what's your name, and yada yada yada. And of course Ellie has an attitude because why wouldn't she have one? Joel goes to talk to this guy who basically sends messages to other people via radio that other people want to they want to stay in contact with their families and everything. And Joel ends up asking the guy about whether or not he got an answer or response from Tommy, and he's like, no, I haven't. And it's been like 3 weeks since Tommy's disappeared. And Joel is worried, of course. And Joel is like, hey, I got a truck, I got everything. I need to go and find Tommy by myself. And the guy is like, hey, it will be very dangerous out there because I listened to the radio when it comes to people talking about what's out there. There are like slavers and scavengers, like other people that you have to worry about, and not necessarily the fungus zombies. And Joel is like, hey, I don't care. I'm going, okay? Just tell me where he is. And then we get a scene where Joel is getting ready to go. He takes out a map, he starts drinking, he's like planning his route to get to Tommy, and it's nighttime, he goes to sleep. Tess comes in and sleeps with him, and yeah, it's morning, and Tess is awake, and Joel notices the injuries on her face, the bruises and everything, and he's like, who did this to you, Tess? And Tess is like, hey, they thought I was a Firefly, so I had to spend some time in prison. But now I'm back, and as far as the bruises are concerned, it was Robert. He ended up selling our battery. He scammed us, and he did make me promise that you won't go after him for revenge and everything. But you know what, Joel? Let's go. Let's hunt Robert down, and let's give him some payback and get our battery. And then we have this entire scene featuring Marlene, and Marlene is like the leader of the Fireflies, and she's like, hey, our rebellion, we have been fighting against Fedra for like, 20 years now, and we haven't really moved the needle, so, but you know what? We can do this now. We have a new plan, and of course that plan involves Ellie, and she's like, well, including Ellie and all of the Fireflies that are stationed in Boston, we are leaving tonight, permanently. While Tess is busy trying to figure out she's busy trying to gain information about Robert's whereabouts, and this guy comes in and he tries to recruit Joel, and Joel is like, no, not interested. If you tell me to find the light, I'll punch you in the face. Then we get this scene between Ellie and Marlene, and she ends up telling Ellie that, hey, we need to leave here, and you're kind of like our only hope or whatnot. And she also tells Ellie that Marlene is the one who put her in military school, because that's where she'll be the safest, and the Fireflies aren't a terrorist organization. And Ellie is like, really? Are you sure? And yeah, Marlene ends up mentioning Riley. Now, for those of you who have played the game, like Riley and Ellie's relationship, I still remember playing that DLC, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of that adapted in the show. But yeah, Marlene is like, Ellie, get ready, we're leaving. Joel and Tess are making their way to where Robert is, and they're going through the subway, and they enter this room, and we get to see this person being all infected by the fungus. So I guess this is the end, right? You after the fungus is like kind of done with you, and it can't like puppeteer you anymore, this is what you end up becoming. They get to the floor where they're supposed to enter in from, and yeah, they smell gunpowder, and they're like, yep, something's wrong in there. And then they end up discovering that, yeah, Robert and his crew are dead because he like tried to sell the battery again, and the battery doesn't work. So there was this little fight that happened, and a lot of people are dead. And then they hear groaning, and yeah, Marlene and one of her assistants are still like, our subordinates are still alive, and Ellie is still alive. And this is where the basic main mission comes in, and how Joel ends up getting involved in all of this. With Marlene bleeding out and a lot of her people dead, basically, she's like, Joel, I'm going to give the mission to you. I need you to take Ellie and get her out of Boston, and I need you to take her to Salem, I guess, if I remember correctly. And Joel is like, why should I do that? And she's like, you have to do this. I'll give you all the equipment you need, the vehicles and everything. And Tess and Joel kind of talk about it, and Joel, because he wants to find Tommy, he's like, you know what, I'll do this. Ellie is in the apartment while Joel and Tess talk about it, and Tess is like, hey, I have to go handle some stuff, so keep an eye on the kid. And Joel is like, why do I have to be the one keeping an eye on the kid? But yeah, he has to be the one. And while that's happening, Ellie is going through this book, and she's like, okay, so 60, 70, 80, like nothing in, new stock. These are that's code, right? Of course, Joel ignores her, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna take some Z's, so occupy yourself, do something. And Ellie is still trying to figure out the code, and she's like, what does 80s mean? It means trouble, right? Because she kind of lies about it to Joel, and she's like, well, while you were asleep, I heard this 80s song on the radio. And Joel is like, what? You did? And yeah, she's like, yep, that means that 80s trouble. So before they can talk more about this is where Tess comes in, and Tess is like, hey, we need to go now. Let's go. So we get this entire little scene where Tess and Joel are taking Ellie out away from the wall, and she's out of the wall for the first time, and she's kind of excited about it, but they're like, no, keep your head down. There's a lot of soldiers out there, and we still have ways to go, so follow my lead. Before those three can really run away, they end up encountering the same soldier that Joel basically works with, giving drugs and everything. And he's like, no, you all need to get on your knees, just stop, stop, stop. And Tess and Joel try to bargain with him. They're like, hey, just let us make this run. We'll split the profits with you and everything. And he's like, no, I told you not tonight. So we have to do this by the book. Get on your knees. And he's testing everyone. He tests Tess, she's not infected. He tests Joel, he's not infected. And as he's going to Ellie, and because Ellie knows what's up with her, she uses the dagger and she like jabs the dagger into the soldier's leg, and she runs away. And the soldier's like, oh, she's infected. Uh-oh. And of course, he wants to shoot Ellie because he's like, she's infected. I have to shoot her. And yeah, it's out in the open. Tess is like, what the heck? You're infected? And Joel tries to like calm him down. And Joel is like, stop, don't do this, don't do this. And of course, seeing a soldier point a gun at him as he's trying to protect a little girl, it brings back memories of Sarah. And yeah, Joel loses it. He loses it, and he starts punching the soldier. And Tess is like, I have to kill you, right, Ellie? And she's like, no, you don't have to kill me because I got a bit like 3 weeks ago. Does this bite look like I was as if it's fresh? I'm immune, basically. I'm immune. And because they don't necessarily have time, Joel and Tess, to basically think about what's actually happening, Tess is like, we have to run, Joel. We have to get out of here. And yeah, all of them run away away from the wall, away from Boston, into the city, which of course is going to be very, very dangerous. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of dangers these three encounter. And I guess in the next episode we'll also learn more about why Ellie is immune. Maybe. I mean, I don't think we'll learn about the why of it, but at least Joel and Tess will be like, okay, so you're basically immune, so you could be our answer to the cure, right? That's what's happening. That's why you're valuable, right? And the episode ends with the radio playing Never Let Me Down Again, which is an 80s song. And yeah, it was a good premiere episode. I'm not really sure how many people will be tuning in to watch such a show, but I hope it finds an audience. I really do. And yeah, of course, I'm also not really sure if I'll be continuing with my recaps and reviews. I might be. It depends on my schedule, but I really wanted to talk about the first episode because I want people to watch this show. And it's well acted, it's well written, the pacing is good as well, and also these are like very, very long episodes. Like this first episode was like 1 hour 20 minutes, which is like basically like a movie in a sense, right? And also this show is going to have a lot of queer representation in it, similar to the games, so I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.